Hi guys, Keith Arkenberg Farm, and it is getting to be twilight out here. It's a lot cooler than it was before. We are at the end of our heat wave. This is not the last week, but it's the second week towards the end of August, and it has just been hot, hot, and hot out here. Everybody around here knows this, but we got 2 more days left, and today I'm just going to take you around a farm and kind of do a tour of what it looks like and how we're already starting to prep for fall, even though it's been this hot out here. So let me show you. Plot 1 here, doesn't look like there's much going on, because there really isn't, but we got a nice unexpected surprise. We have a bunch of celosia coming in from last year's flowers out here. So we've been harvesting those, put them in the cut flowers. Other than that, really nothing going on. A little bit of grass here and there we got to finish getting out. And I think I'm just going to put this bed to sleep for the rest of the winter months. I really don't have any plans for it. We're going to keep harvesting on these, and once it cools off, clear this thing out completely. Now old plot 2 is now our prop house, and boy, have things gotten hairy around here. Whatever these are, I have quite a bit of allergies to. Nasal, eye, itching, all that fun stuff. But we're starting to get it cleared out, and we've got a bunch of fall crops in here. I'll turn you around and take you in. As you can see, this place is quite a bit of a mess. But we still got stuff growing in here. We got our broccoli transplants, which look like they're starting to get eaten on a little bit. They're going to go out next week. Got some thin plantings of lettuce that came through. Bunch of better ones over here. Our cabbages, they just need to sit for 1 more week. They're starting to look a little slim. You can see the color changing, how they're starting to kind of tint purple on them. That means they really, really want to go in the ground. Got some kale and some kalettes that got eaten quite severely. And a bunch of lettuce in here. And then a bunch of leftovers. I still haven't planted any lettuce this week, so we still have quite a bit. What is that? I'm not even sure. But they look like they're doing pretty good. Those will be ready to go out here. Next week is when we'll tear down our greenhouse and start planting our fall crops out there. Now plot 3 is shaping up nicely. We got 2 beds of storage radishes. We've got black Nero and we've got red meats, which are your watermelon radishes. Then I've got a bed of French breakfast radishes here that I actually got to germinate when it was 100 degrees outside. That's pretty darn amazing. These 2 beds over here are going to be our daikons. We got the white daikons, and then we've got a red and a purple that we're going to put in here. Did not want to plant those until it cooled off a little because I was worried about the germination. But seeing what the radishes look like, I probably could have. But as long as I get them in next week, I should be fine and get a good harvest before it actually freezes out here. The problem we ran into last year, Canada's very unpredictable. So we get random hard freezes earlier than most, about the same time as our frost date or a week after. I'm actually getting buzzed by a bunch of dragonflies. There went one. There went another. Right now, great predator insects to have on your farm. Pretty awesome to see them up close like this. I just love it. We got those birds, lacewings, all kinds of cool stuff out here. But we're going to take you over to the tunnels and you can see what those things look like right now. And they're not very pretty because literally they're going to be cropped out in a week or 2. So that's not a high priority. We're just trying to stretch the harvest before we have to remove them. And this is exactly what I was talking about. These cucumbers are old, worn out. They've been here since the beginning of the season. They've served their purpose, but there's still a few green bits here and there. They're actually still pumping cucumbers off that are pretty good still. Pretty amazing. They're shorter. I mean, I'm getting like 5 or 6 inches where we used to get like 7 or 8. But they're still holding on. Either way, they're going next week, and we're going to start transferring this baby over to fall crops. I believe these are my lettuce beds down the middle, and I got carrot beds on both sides if I remember right. I've already got my fall crop plan pretty much organized to where I rotate main crops during the main season through these 3 tunnels. So I have to be very careful of what I put where. Next week I'll go over it and kind of more detail of how I kind of plan things out, because I can't have cucumbers that need to go in when I have something else in my way. But more on that next week, so be sure and catch the next video. And we're going to head over to the next tunnel, which has nothing, and then over to the high tunnel. Tunnel of nothing. Yes, that's right. Absolutely nothing. Nothing but grass on both sides. It comes on hard and heavy around here this time of year. People wouldn't believe how much grass we actually remove, basically by hand, to keep it even looking this nice. And if you could see it, it's really not all that nice. And I really need to start doing something in between these tunnels because it's getting really bad. I've noticed in the past, one of those things I want to get to, just don't actually get to it. But either way, we'll go over to Tomato House. This is our high tunnel. Our Arkenberg B-frame trellis worked great this year. Still getting very, very nice tomatoes coming off of here. Beautiful. No sun scald, no shade cloth, no nothing, just like I always used to do. The A-frame trellis, I made a video on this, or B-frame trellis, best tomato trellis all time, I believe called. I'm deeming it the Arkenberg trellis because I am the only one I've ever seen actually use a B-frame, running leaders all the way down. Works great. Like I said, best tomatoes we've ever grown. Cherry tomatoes, leaning lower. You know what I didn't do? I didn't lean them or lower them. They hit the top, it got hot, I just kept harvesting. These only have maybe 3 weeks left, so at this point, why even bother? I'm still getting a harvest off them. They're still beautiful. They're still great little cherry tomatoes. Working on a good trifecta mix for next season, so keep up with that. Then I've got my fall cucumbers in here. They're just starting to push, barely going, but they'll take off real quick here. Got all the trellis lines in place, so that's the important part. And then finally, we have our eggplants, and they really, really do not like being super hot. They are a Solanaceae, I believe. If I'm wrong, put in the comments. But they're still kicking. They're little aninas. They're doing great. We're getting far fewer during the heat. I know it'll start to pick up again, but we have enough. We're selling them. There's one right there. There's one thing you got to be careful with your eggplants is your potato beetle. Get them turned over. So that is a potato beetle. You have to be very careful to watch these because they can become an extreme problem on everything. They don't show up until after the potato crop is done here. So, middle note, I'll have to take care of that. Over here in plot 6, this is nothing but greens and quick turn greens. So we got all of our lettuce greens in it and a bunch of other stuff. The grass is really hitting hard. I knew this half was going to be bad, but it's actually pushing into the other half too. That has to do a lot with the heat. Let me turn you around and kind of show you some of the stuff we have uncovered and take a look at it. This was planted during the original 100-degree heat wave, and it's actually producing and looking beautiful. Taking a lot of work. 2 weeks ago I did growing lettuce in the heat. Check that out as well. So I'll run you down the row and kind of talk as we move. Underneath here, this is actually the 3rd cutting. I'm just starting to see some flea beetle damage in it, which is actually great because it's all but done. I'm not even going to try to pull another harvest. Harvested this lettuce. Of course I got some drop. I did that this morning. But we're still getting fairly nice looking lettuce coming off of it. Not the best in the world, I will tell you, but it's keeping us going. The further down where it's a little bit more wet, we get a little bit more disease. And then we got some direct seeded lettuce over here. It is getting harvested out tomorrow morning. I've got 2 kinds. I'm testing them side by side. I really like the way this stuff over here looks, but this is much bigger. We are keeping everything underneath insect nets if it is a brassica or a mustard, simply because the flea beetle pressure gets intense out here. Here's the white fabric I was talking about here a couple weeks ago. It actually Didn't think it was making a difference, but it actually is over here. These are much bigger heads. They look a lot nicer. In the 100-degree heats, I think it really does matter quite a bit. And then we've got stuff that's planted out, and I got to keep planting and planting and planting. So we actually have stuff come fall time. Final row over here are our fall beets. So we got 3 rows here of beets. We got beets, beets, and beets, and then we got radishes and radishes in between. The plan was to remove the radishes and let the beets go full up. And then we've just got some cultivation over here, trying to knock down the excess weed pressure this time of year we get. Plot 7, we just cultivated all that, and then we left a strip and cultivated this. Real bad purslane pressure up here. I found the cucumber beetles were really propagating into that purslane, so I'm going to kind of try to trap them and cover them and hopefully kill them off that way with a tarp, because it's going to be 100 degrees tomorrow. Kale, looking like crapola. Further up, it looks a little better. Got a lot of harlequin beetles in it. Again, trying to work that out. They're a very difficult pest to work with. But then we've got a beautiful row of zucchini here. This was planted, say 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think I put this in the ground about 3 weeks ago. So this has not been in the ground long at all. It is already starting to fruit. I just pulled off the insect net. See the yellow ones right there? Just ready to go. They're a little slower. I try to keep them covered with insect net longer. That way the plants have a better chance to grow. I only put them on single row because we don't need that much, and I don't want to have excess harvest. Pepper row, still doing great. Bell peppers, jalapenos, other magical peppergate peppers that we received from purchasing starts from a commercial greenhouse, and they obviously got the same problem everybody else does. And then we've got our bunching onions here. We're still harvesting on the top half. This bottom half will go through all the way through fall. I actually do a succession of these with the same tray. I plant out the top half with half the tray. Then about a month later, I'll keep those same starts alive in the greenhouse, and then I plant these off. It's amazing the difference in size that 1 month actually makes. So those are good to go. These still have a little while longer. From what most people use bunching onions as, these are actually huge, but I like the big finger ones. I believe I did a video on that too. So go ahead and check that out, search it on the channel. Then we'll go over and look at the other project we've been working on this year, which is the flowers, as it begins to get dark out here real quick. And this is a lovely flower patch. A lot of zinnias up top here. They grow almost like weeds here. We've got whatever these giant orange things, or orange, burgundy things are. They work great in bouquets. Have a lot of other stuff down here. Some of it's pretty much given up. It looks like these might be starting to flower again just a little bit. There's our celosia, our feathers. This is an awesome variety. They look great in bouquets. I'm not sure what they're called. I've been saving the seed for a couple years now. We got a bunch of little pin cushions down here, which they do great in this kind of weather. They keep popping and going. Finally, head over to my block of corn behind me. So I always like to experiment around with corn. This is actually a bunch of feed corn. It's not dent corn. It's a real high protein feed corn. I got a bunch of different varieties in here. Right now, we're just starting to push what I believe is called the milk stage. So these are actually really good to eat. There's never been anything sprayed on them. They're non-GMO, all open pollination, but we're getting really nice ears. Some have more tassel on than others, but they are very delicious. Down at the end, have not been down here much, is where we have our glass gem popping corn. They call it popping corn, but it's not very good to eat. It still has a way to go. It still is not darkened or anything. I hope it didn't get planted too thick. Smaller seed, same plate, but we'll see. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the way it looks this year. And the raccoons have not come in super heavy to eat it. I think it's because it's later in the year and we're up on a hill we don't have creeks, there's not a lot of open water. So that might be the key of why they're not really attacking my corn. Finally, we got our area of asparagus, rhubarb, horseradish, and then red raspberries. Definitely going to expand out with this type of raspberry this year. This, I believe, is Latham, or it might be Prelude, because it's at the other end as well, one or the other. The Heritage, I've decided I'm not going to propagate any more cuttings off of that because they are really bushy. They go all over the place. Prelude looks like a great type to trellis up and pull in your bundle because it's a second-year crop. Prelude down at the end, yes, I think that's the one. Looks like it might be great for actually cutting off at 12 inches, getting a nice spring crop, and then getting your fall crop off it as well. Finally, I want to talk about one thing. That little noise maker right there, that is the condenser for our walk-in. Actually had the fan go out in that during the heat. Not good, not good at all. Anybody with a commercial walk-in knows when they go bad, things happen, and it's very, very, very expensive. I did the work myself and was able to find a motor for it relatively quickly. I happen to know a couple people I was able to get a hold of. What I did was ordered 2 of them. That way I have the one I put in it, and I also have a spare if it happens again. But to quickly alleviate the problem, I actually put 2 box fans on the end here, blowing through it in line. That was enough airflow to actually cool the Freon to allow the walk-in to still run. Great, great way to keep it going. Always, that's not a long-term solution, but it was a short-term solution and it worked. I'll throw a picture here in the end and kind of show you what the setup looked like. Basically 2 box fans in a row blowing through. The biggest problem is that we had a week of 100-degree heat, and go try to find a fan in your area when it's like that. They laugh at you. It's like, oh, they were gone, a week ago. So, lesson learned, if you ever buy parts for your walk-in, always buy 2 of that part so you have a spare later. Trust me, it's worth it. If you're going to keep doing it for more than a year or 2, you will definitely use them eventually. So, hope you enjoyed a tour of the farm in the basically death phase of the summer and the rebirth of the fall season. It is quite a work in process, and next week we'll be going and kind of talking about the fall plan and how we're starting to shape up, get crops in, crops out, and the plan and how we're kind of do it. So, hope y'all like what you saw today. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank y'all. Have a good day.